All right, check this out. Market maker models aligning with the daily power of 3. And the great thing is I don't have to go searching around for some cherry-picked example here. This literally happened today beautifully. Happened today. It was great. Took part in that. I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to start. I've got this in the Notion document. I'll be sharing one more video left. Similar to the previous video of 4-hour daily power of 3, this or 4-hour power of 3. This can also be done on the daily level 2. So what we're going to do is watch the daily open, which is 6 p.m. So like the day opens on 6 p.m. Tuesday, trades through overnight. You got London session, Asian session, London session, and then the day finishes out essentially with New York session. So we look at the 6 p.m. open. This is less likely to be a market maker model and more just power of 3 at work, but within it you can find market maker models on the lower time frames to actually take part in. Let's see. This is less likely to be market maker model, more power of 3 at work, but at the PD array you can zoom in and what I just said, find a market maker model. Now that we're using the concept of power of 3 on a high time frame, we can use standard deviations to measure the limits of that power of 3. Power of 3 is limited energy. Standard deviation helps us measure those limits. Here are some examples. So here are 2 examples that I have documented previously. So these are old. I'll show you one from today that's a little a little better. But so we have 6 p.m. open. Yeah, 6 p.m. open here. The overnight does its thing. We are trading below midnight open, and so this is the manipulation portion of the daily candle wick. So what we see is I measure the standard deviations from that lowest low manipulation leg, and that gives us our deviation levels, and it trades exactly right up to close, exactly up to -4. So it can either be -2.5-ish or -4. We've got an entry opportunity down here off of, this is on the 15-minute chart to observe the whole day. But just on the 15-minute chart alone, you've got a fair value gap you could have entered on. You've even got a market structure shift of sorts. You could enter right on an order block here, and the 9:30 opens, and away you go. There is always SMT. There's SMT at the lows in this case on the 15-minute chart. So this was manipulated lower on NQ than it was on the other ones. So there's that example. The other one was a big, giant market maker buy model. So the previous day came down, formed our sell side of the curve. We had the consolidation down here overnight, giving us our SMT. You can see the daily opened right here. We consolidated and manipulated lower. In this case, the manipulation legs were quite small in comparison and didn't give me, if I measured these, my targets were like here and here. And I'm like, there's got to be a measurement that's going to get us closer to the origination of this sell side of the curve. So this time I measured it by the distribution leg. I talk about this and show some example. I think I have some examples, but I'll be building examples anyways and over time of this distribution leg measurement instead of the manipulation leg measurement in my private Discord, private journal, I should say. That is really not private anymore, so I should just call it my personal trading journal. If you want to go check that out, it is available. It is accessible. Join my Discord and you can see that. So we have daily open here. We traded below it, manipulated below it. We did have SMT, so I measured that distribution leg. It gave me clean measurements that I thought 1 to 1.5 brought us near some of these highs, which could cause some consolidation or retracement. 2 to 2.5, there's some pretty good buy side levels all along the way. 2 to 2.5 did as well, and then -4 got very close to this final PD array, this imbalance up here and buy side. So price did in fact it blasted through this silver bullet zone, the 1 to 1.5. And when it does that, usually it'll hit 2 to 2.5 and then retrace into 1 to 1.5. I see it almost every time that this happens, and this is another example of that. And then takes off and goes straight to buy side by noon in this case. That morning was a pretty good run. So that's kind of the general concept of looking at this on the daily kind of power of 3 level. So I'm just going to go down to the 15-minute because that's the way I did the other ones. And sorry, I've got a itch on the back of my shoulder. Okay, so this example was literally today. We've got the daily open at 6 here. Got some consolidation. There was actually 8:30 news, which caused manipulation up into this high time frame PD array. This is no longer IO fed because it traded right through it. If you want to learn more about IO fed, I've got info on that too. But ICT taught institutional order flow entry drill, where it should have tapped the imbalance and just left immediately. Since it did not, it was not IO fed. Anyways, manipulation up into the higher time frame PD array. It wasn't very clean. It didn't respect this fair value gap, and it didn't reach this one on the, I measured these on the hourly. JK, it did. Take that back. So it didn't close above this, wicked above it, that's okay, and immediately traded lower. What I liked is that it traded lower quick enough and did not create a 1 hour BISI that we then had to violate in order to continue going lower. So that really helped me feel like we were going to go lower. But yeah, manipulated above daily open into a PD array. We had SMT, I didn't mark it. I'm going to go find it though. I marked it over here, but not over here. So the 914 and 944. So it's on a lower time frame. There was, let me go see if there's SMT on the higher time frame too, because I do like that as part of my trade strategy. And you guys can't see the screen I'm doing this on, don't worry. I'm aware. All right. There's SMT way over there. Doesn't mean much to me. Well, there really wasn't any high time frame PD SMT, unless I think I can count Dow, because Dow went absolutely crazy this morning. It was super weird. And yeah, nonetheless, there wasn't. So let's go down to the 1 minute where all the fun happened. And right here, yeah, 914. So this is what I was looking for initially for a trade. And I took 2 trades. One was, the first trade I took was just a scalp in order to pass an eval to get that account into funded. And then the second was a demo trade to show that this is tradable here today with my Discord group. We walked through that in live chat. So let's see, 8:30 manipulated up, and then we just kind of trickled down. There was an area of opportunity up here to enter, in my opinion. What I didn't like or see was a displacement and a market structure shift of any kind that was like convincing. The one thing that I noticed, like after the fact, it was incredibly small. Let me measure it actually, because this looks like a BPR, and I know that price isn't going to come back to that. And I could have just entered at the creation of that BPR, because worst case, we're going to respect it at consequent encroachment. So let me check this really quick. The low is 650.75, and the high is 650.50, so it's a tick. So never mind, that's not really convincing. So what I was waiting for then was for this, pretty much the only fair value gap on the way up here, to be violated, closed over, and then that would be kind of a confirmation that we're going to continue to go down. And it did do that before 9:30, like just a few minutes before 9:30, and I'm not a fan of entering or dealing with the initial 9:30 opening range, and this is why. Had I entered here, great trade opportunity, 623 to, I mean, that's 50-ish points. So, like, you know, that's a good grip. But I was aiming for sell side way down here. You can't see that. I was aiming for sell side way down here. So I wanted to wait until after the 9:30 volatility, and this is why, because we end up judicing typically in some way. Sometimes when the 8:30 news creates a manipulation move, the 9:30 move is almost negligible and sometimes not present at all. And 9:30 just goes straight, whichever way, and doesn't judice at all. In this case, it did almost all the way back up. I would not have liked that. So, and that's also what created our SMT that then confirmed to me, we're not going to react off of this big fair value gap. We're going to keep going lower. So anyways, and then I found some trade opportunities to go all the way down. I stopped trading when we hit sell side, and there you go. So not really much about the daily power of 3 in that explanation, but the point is you can see before the market opens, these things start to pan out. You pay attention to what happens overnight. In this case, it was a very clean accumulation. It made it very obvious when 8:30 took off that this is going to be a beautiful power of 3 play. And after you see this enough times, you're going to know that. And it does often play out this nicely. So I was really glad to see that. When you see this manipulation, you go into here and try to find an entry within that manipulation area if possible. That's going to give you the best RR. That's going to give you the best entry to catch a larger move, you know, whatever you care about. I think I'm almost certain I waited for this candle to close. I think I entered somewhere in here and rode the rest of the way down. I think I even have, yeah, I have some of them I have this from today. Oh yeah, I tried another trade early on. I think that's when I tried that demo trade, and I closed it because of, no, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Let's do this. I didn't want to make this video too terribly long, but I'm just gonna show you, because most traders won't. So I waited until we had closed some, and I actually just decided to try a short off of this fair value gap, and had entered with a limit order a tick below, and it tagged me in before actually tapping the fair value gap. Nonetheless, I rode this all the way up and then was like, we closed above it. Screw it. I closed it all. And took it was like a $1,200 loss, whatever. This is all demo, by the way, so it was fine. And then it started coming back down, and I'm like, I was right. We're going to sell side. So I re-entered. Boom, boom, boom. Right here. Right here. Right at my original entry point, really. And then rode it all the way down. Took a partial there, took a partial there, took a partial there. So, I mean, subtract 1,200 out of, just get rid of this trade, for instance. 1,200. So maybe 100 left over. So we'll call that 800 and 2,400. That's a heck of a day. You know what I mean? So even if you think your idea is wrong and then realize it's not, you can get back in and make some serious money. My scalp was up here. Right after we created SMT, we impulsed down. And then as we were trading back up, and I took a short right up in here. And all I needed was 6 points. So this candle blew through that and then some, and I was done. It was literally like I hit sell, and it was like order filled, target filled, and I was done. So it was really nice, and my eval was passed. So long story short, that is kind of conceptualizing daily power of 3, and then coming down into a lower time frame and finding some kind of power of 3 market maker style entry. This wasn't really, in my opinion, a market maker model. It was very much a power of 3 day. I just look for certain confluences like SMTs at every reversal point. I have to have an SMT in order to take a trade. I look for change in state of deliveries, and I look for an entry. So if you're curious about any of that, I've got several YouTube videos already. And again, my Discord's in the description, so we can chat about it. Other than that, I will see you next time when we talk about something called Devil's Mark. And that's a really interesting teaching as well. So we'll see you then.